It's 7 o'clock, and we have a public hearing scheduled for 7 o'clock. Sue, would you read the public hearing notice?
Please take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Wilton, New York, County of Saratoga will hold a public hearing for proposed local law number 2 of 2019, a moratorium on mixed-use buildings in the H1 zone in the Town of Wilton. Said proposed local law is on file in the Town Clerk's office and is available for public inspection during normal business hours. Said public hearing will be held on Thursday, May 2nd, 2019 at 7 p.m. at the Wilton Town Hall located at 22 Traver Road in the town, at which time all persons will be given an opportunity to be heard.
Okay, I just want to let everybody know up front that we will not be voting on the local law tonight. The County Planning Board did not have the opportunity to review the local law, which is a requirement before the town board can take action on that. So I just want everyone to know that up front that we will not be voting on that tonight. Also, actually, it'll give this board the opportunity to weigh in on the comments made tonight, which is probably a good thing. So, and also, between now and the June meeting, when we will be taking a vote, I will ask the current zoning revision committee to meet and look at the Hamlet zoning once again. They have not finalized the recommendations that they have been working on for many meetings now over the last couple of years. So anyway, so I'm going to have them look at it between now and the next meeting. And so now I will open the public hearing. And I will ask, the speakers will have 3 minutes. You come up to the microphone and state your name and address.
Is there a time limit?
It's 3 minutes. First is Connie Towers.
Hello, Connie Towers, 92 Ernst Road. I think this is a good thing. To look at the density again in this town. We're kind of at a crossroads right now about what we would like the character of the town to be moving forward. And when I look back at density over the years, PUDs, of course, were 8 units, 10 acres minimum. And then Hamlet, of course, got a little bit risen up to 15. That was to allow for smaller buildings, like the locals, where you had apartments up top. I mean, we had apartments up top and small businesses. But so 2007, the density got changed from 12 down to 8 units per unit. And then 2012, developer came before the board and asked for 14 units, and they were granted 15. So that's where the Hamlet stands right now. I did have an opportunity to go through some of I was at a couple of the meetings. That committee was rezoning the comp plan and the Hamlet. Some of the things that are up there now, I agree with. Some I don't. It's good that you're going to go back and review. I don't think a picture of Gordon Development, Park Place is good. It's a good picture placed in that revision code. I mean, it doesn't follow the mass and the height requirement. It still doesn't. And so I would also ask them to look at H2. That was a suggestion, because there's another H1, which is validated, Route 9, and the same thing out here. So I think it's a wise decision. I think you go back, you look at 129, 176M, which is where all the density was before, you plug it back in, and fix the Schedule G, and hopefully you can get something that will be a good use for the town moving forward with roads, but not wreck the character of the town. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pat Tuz?
Pat Tuz, 2 Amanda Court, Saratoga Springs. So, I'm driving up Route 9, Maple Avenue, towards Wilton. I go under the trestle. I pass a giant Cumberland Farms on my left. Then I keep going and I come to the new giant Kohl's Collision Center, also on my left before the firehouse. I might as well be on Route 9 in Clifton Park, because the same chains are there contributing to making Wilton one more town lacking identity. This surprises me because that we might let this happen, given that so much time and effort was spent celebrating Wilton's identity with the 200th anniversary. And Kohl's belongs on Route 50, where all big box stores go. Wilton still has the opportunity to not be like Clifton Park. And this brings me to the point of the hamlet. Someone had the vision to set up the hamlets in Wilton with stores where people could walk to or bike to, and local people could set up small businesses, keeping more money in the community, which I think is what we want. I just don't think that people on our various boards quite see the benefits of these hamlets. To me, they were a no-brainer. Otherwise, they might have insisted that Mr. Gabrishek keep the retail space planned for the apartment complex in that hamlet on Ballard Road. The retail space was part of that hamlet concept. However, Gabrishek wanted to convert the retail to more apartments, and he got the go-ahead. And there's a lot of room to develop that area yet. The hamlet would allow people up there to shop and maybe even visit a grocery store up that way, which is sorely needed on that side of town. Hamlets with bikeable, walkable areas will be a benefit to those investing and buying homes in this community. People will not have to go down to Saratoga Springs. They will want to stay in Wilton. That adds more value to our town. Hamlets will give people the amenities they need and they want. They hopefully will yield more local businesses, add value to our homes, and provide the identity and sense of community that I think you're going for in this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy Dwyer?
Nancy Dwyer, 12 New Kent Drive, Wilton. Couple of things regarding the hamlet and moratorium request. I have a question. The county planning board, I'm wondering when they will be meeting again and will have a response.
Third Thursday.
May 16th.
Okay, so that'll be plenty of time for us to have it under June. The other piece is back in 2016, when this code revision committee was put together, there were comments made by current board members and past board members, requests that other people, lay people, you, me, be invited to the table to be part of that discussion. At that time, a reason was given that it was only to address the revisions needed because of the comprehensive plan that had been adopted several months prior in November of 2015, and that there was no real need other than to bring our code up to spec with the comprehensive plan changes. I would request this time around, and I know it is some people's belief as well, that one of two things happen. That either people like Connie Towers, who was intimately involved with the approval of, or the application of the Gordon Building. Connie did way more than any citizen should ever have to do, and knows a whole lot about the pieces that went into that, and code, and obviously can name numbers. That either people like that are interested, have the time and the knowledge, be invited to that revision and/or a public forum, not just a public hearing, be done where citizens that are concerned and would like to know more have the opportunity to learn and be heard and be part of the discussion that goes into the decisions that get made that affect all of us. So one of those two things would be, or both. And also, I know, Art, that you said the code revision committee that has been meeting for the last 2 years, going on 3, should have been charged with doing this before, and I'm sure they've dealt with a lot of different things, and now are being given this charge in the next month to look at this. But that next month, when we vote on this, should it get passed, that a committee, a separate committee, could be adjoined by that one, be put together to address this and include other people that meets a lot. More than once a month, or we had 8 months where our code revision committee didn't meet at all, because this is important. We have a application on the books right now, going on Route 9 that isn't in this hamlet, and there's others that are on the books coming in.
Thank you.
Joanne Klebitar?
Thank you. I didn't prepare any statement, but I just want to commend the board for having this public hearing tonight on this. This is a subject that I know has been mentioned to me over the years, and I might have been lax in bringing it to the Code Revision Committee. I know I brought it up on one occasion, and I was told this is where the density should be in the hamlet, and then it was just kind of forgotten, kind of glazed over. And being who I am, I didn't push for it, but I am a strong believer that having a small town center can only enhance Wilton. We already have exit 15 over there, and I think small mom and pop stores and service businesses over here is just what we need where the people live. And the developers that are coming in, they don't live here. They're coming from Texas, they're coming from Florida, and I don't know where else they're coming from, but we live here. I've been here 45 years, and these are the people that need to be brought to the table, the people that live here. Find out what they want. I can't tell you how many times over the last 7 years people have said, the Gordon building, how did that get in? I don't know how it did. We fought it. I was here, and it still made its way because of the zoning. So thank you for having this. And one blessing in disguise, maybe this public hearing will go on till next month. That would be very nice.
Thank you.
So people have a chance to find out about it. Thank you.
Janet, is it Talley?
Janet Talley, 36 Worth Road. Actually, I am reading a statement that was prepared by Nancy Gatlin. She's in Spain, happens to be a good friend of mine, and asked me to please make this statement for her, and since I totally agree with it, I said, sure, I'll do that. I'd rather be in Spain, however. I'm urging the board to adopt at least a 30-day moratorium on going forward with and approving any new building in the hamlet area of Wilton. Originally, the purpose of the area was to have a pleasant place to shop and meet friends. So far, it is anything but. Instead, it has become a very disjointed, ugly area where no one wants to spend time. A perfect example is that monstrosity, the Gordon building. Not only is the building totally out of place, the retail space was never developed. Instead, after some years, it was finally rented to Saratoga Hospital. I have nothing against Saratoga Hospital, but it does nothing to enhance the beauty of Wilton. Just take a look at those windows. We need a full-time planner who will carefully take applications to build under consideration to be sure they fit the hamlet model and make it an inviting place to be. The town board needs to take a long look at the present zoning laws. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Franzo?
Chris Ramsdell, 4280 Route 50 in Wilton. For me, I'd like to just say that I had the pleasure the last 2 years of actually serving on the zoning revision committee. I say it was a pleasure because I think we had a really good, diverse group of people that worked well together, respected each other, and brought forth a lot of the issues that people in this room are concerned about. I know Joanne, who just spoke, was a member of that, and I really enjoyed the time that we were able to spend together in that meeting. In 2 years that we've been talking about the Hamlet zone in that room, and we shared a lot of the concerns that we have about a whole series of changes that we have proposed that we're wrapping up. I mean, our final meeting on the issue of the Hamlet actually just occurred recently. And I know that we've had a product that was just being finalized that was going to be submitted to the town. For me, I feel like a moratorium isn't the best approach to take at this time. I think if we could move forward with accepting the revisions from the committee, look at those, see if they make sense, modify them appropriately if that's necessary, and take those into consideration and move forward to try to implement the zoning changes that were recommendations based on the committee. It'll get us to where we want to be a lot quicker. There's a lot of effort to put in shrinking the scale of the Hamlet. We recommended reducing, eliminating the Hamlet in the northern part of the town to try to bring things down, make them a little bit smaller, push them further away from the road. I think there are a lot of things that were proposed that we had a lot of agreement on that would be good for the community, and I think other than the moratorium, moving forward with trying to streamline the process to get those changes implemented and added to the code would be a better approach.
Thank you. Eric Rosenberg?
Eric Rosenberg, 16 Carl Lane. I've been involved with the Hamlet zoning for a while now. Of course, with Adirondack Trust, and been dealing with some of the projects and other things in the zone. And from going to the planning board meeting, they've been dealing with this new project that is unfortunately amazing. The issue to me became very clear. This isn't really only just about density. Before I moved to New York, I lived in an area called Davie, Florida. And Davie was a long-time country western. They built one in rodeo deal. And they, separate apart from their building, they had a special plan for their downtown area where if you built it according to a western theme, you got some bonuses. And I think here, there was an intention by the people who were supporting the Hamlet zone that didn't really get translated into the code. You know, you can talk about density and setbacks, but that doesn't really address what I think people were hoping to see there. So I think there needs to be a second look. During the planning board meetings, I mentioned that it sounded like there wasn't a plan, and maybe that wasn't the right way to put it. I think there was an initial concept that was incorporated into the zoning code, but as the planning board wrestled with things like pass-through and where should sidewalks go, and a lot of those details that you can't really reflect in the code, but if you had adopted a plan that said, this is what we want here, I think really, again, it needs to look at the bigger picture there. And we shouldn't be looking to the planning board to do the planning. The planning board is supposed to get a document and some decisions from staff, and then they vote on these things instead of sitting there arguing for hours, as it turned out, over whether there should be a sidewalk going through the property. And that's just the long use of these people's time, and it took up a lot of time. And just real quick, again, it goes back to the need for a planner. I actually did a FOIA request and looked at the various documents about this outside company that supposedly is available to us. And actually, if you look at what a planner does, which is a much broader thing about bringing all these things together, other than updating the comprehensive plan, we have not hired that company to do any planning. They did some architectural and engineering on the courthouse, and they did some architectural engineering at the pavilion, but that's not planning. Again, this Hamlet is the perfect area where a planner Plus, by the way, again, they're not applying for grants. So again, I think we need to take another look at the plan and really understand what the planner would bring to the town. But I think this moratorium is a really good idea, but it should be, we should look at more than just density. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Golden?
Paul Goldman, 255 Washington Avenue. I represent BMA acquisition, so we're kind of one part of this adversely impacted by this. I just want to say, we're all struggling a lot with retail very challenging, it's hard to get deficits. Well, it's pervasive throughout the whole capital region, so, I think you've got a comprehensive plan system in place. Let that go forward, let that be the mechanism for how you adjust your zoning, whatever it is. And I think, using people's time to develop a comp plan, let that be set forward as to how the zoning amendments go forward. I mean, just put the brakes on it right now and not have the comp plan go forward. The other thing I'd like to talk about is at some point, my client's got a negative declaration on the seat. Basically, we've been let down. We're waiting for final approval. It's kind of outside of our hands. So we would like to ask this board to put in some type of grandfathering, for those who have gone forward, spent money, invested in this community, to have a grandfather for those who have to seek their debt. Because that means that there is no impact on the environment from the project. Thank you.
Dave Bushin?
I'm Dave Buchan. A couple of comments. One, I think Chris Ransdale expressed kind of what I think. Not sure that the rather to the code revision. Let me give everybody a little history. Everybody knows where we are. Also, the gentleman that spoke, I think he's kind of in the same direction. After the November 2013 election, the town board decided to update Wilton's comprehensive plan. The committee was established and work began in September of 2013. Written working meetings were held, and then was published, minutes taken, public input was solicited by the online portal, public hearings were held in writing. Comprehensive plan was discussed in numerous town board meetings, including August, September, October, and November 2015. All this information is extensively documented on the website. Anybody here has a cell phone, you go to the website, like other committees, go to comprehensive plan, everything is there. You can see exactly what happened to the comprehensive plan update in 2000 followed up in 2015. A lot of people here were involved with that, but it's a good process, well documented, well attended meeting. We gotta have many comments here from myself, lawyer, sat with me through a lot of these meetings that are very informed and painful because it's a very detailed order. Comprehensive plan is all verbs, there's no numbers. There's 43 pages, there's not one number. It's words, okay? The numbers get done in code revision, okay? Let's talk about that. So we went through, we did the comprehensive plan update, everybody followed. We're all the time in town. Board here, everyone here is going to come and show us on the board. The next step, following that, is the code revision committee. Putting a lot of this on people. That started in April of 2016. That's when that started, the code revision committee. A lot of people doing around that night. So keep in mind, comprehensive plan committee is a general concourse followed by the specifics. That, I believe, rather than having I understand John's frustration that we need to wrap up the code revision committee. So I think the discussion, rather than being here in a one-off meeting where we're talking about all this stuff that we've been talking about really since 2001. Well, actually since 2012. So I think the code revision committee is where these discussions take place, and that's what we presented. And I think the code revision committee is working hard, they're doing a lot of stuff. It's just time to bring it to conclusion, present it to everybody, and everybody, the board here, the board here has the final say on that thing. So if you want changes in that code revision thing, you talk to the code members, talk to the committee, and talk to these people here, and they'll help the process forward.
Dave, time to go.
Thank you.
Okay, before I close the public hearing, is there anybody that didn't sign up and would like to speak? Councilman Jackie?
Do I have a chance to speak? I mean, I think this started because of my frustration. And my problem is I have a good memory. And I put forth the motion for the moratorium because I felt I haven't heard anything about the concerns that got me elected. When I was elected, it was about the Gordon building, the density. It was brought up when I got on the board. It was brought up in great detail. So everybody says it wasn't brought up at the Code Revision Committee. Well, in 2016, it was brought up. We talked about it for 45 minutes. That density was part of the issues. Now, I have, since April 7, 2016, when this committee was formed, and according to the minutes, Joanne and Mike Dobis were not on that committee. So, I'm looking at the minutes.
Maybe they weren't there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, hang on. I'm sorry, my 3 minutes are still going. The committee will be appointed to review and amend the town code to ensure compliance with the comprehensive plan. The committee is tasked with guiding code update and providing draft revisions, which will become before the town board for approval. The appointments are as follows. Robert Barrett, Chris Ramsdale, Ron Sloan, David Gabay, Mark Shackner, Mark Mykins, Ryan Riper, Amy DeLeon, Lucy Harlow, and Deputy Supervisor Steve Stryker. I don't see where he appointed Joanne or Mike to this board. So if they jumped on it, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but when we went through the comprehensive plan updates every month, somebody came to us and gave us an update. I've heard nothing on density, and it was brought up for 45 minutes in 2016. It's obvious it's on our minds, but I hear nothing about it. No changes. There's a flaw in it. The flaw is density's too high, and I'm not trying to stop any businesses from coming in or any applications that have already been put forth. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to drop the density levels down so we can slow the growth down. The buildings are too high. We found that out when we try to set up a fire truck. 1.5 times the size of the building. We have to be away from the building. That's 80 feet. That's in the middle of Route 9 if that building catches on fire. Our ladders reach 100. We don't reach the top of that building. They're too high. The other issue is, again, the retail space underneath. Something needs to be done about it, because the vision was for mom and pop stores. Come out of your apartment and walk the street going shopping. That's the issue. I'm not trying to, if they can fix this without a moratorium, I'm all for it too. Absolutely for it. If they can fix it, but they gotta, them 3 things have to be addressed. My frustration is because I waited 5 years and got nothing.
Thanks. But I just defend the committee. Those things were addressed in the committee. They may not have got the result that you like, but they did address them.
I don't see any minutes. I looked.
There are minutes. They're not posted. Just let me finish. Okay. There are minutes. We were missing not having them up on the website, but there are minutes.
But shouldn't we have some kind of input going on? We did with the comprehensive plan. Every month, somebody came in, gave us an update, draft, and then we finalize it, but we were in the loop every single month. This, I've not heard one time somebody come back to this board with any updates,
Well, they've been working on it, and
and I commend them for it.
they were about to finalize and actually present the
I
final
wish somebody came to me
changes.
before last month, because
But I'm sorry that, these meetings have been going on and that you weren't informed, then there may be some communication problem.
and I spoke
But
with,
this committee did look at those things. I talked to most of the committee members, and they all concur that these things were discussed. They just did not, at this point in time, they didn't finalize the report. They're going to look at it again. So, but at the time, they had not recommended any particular changes, but we'll send it back to them and let them look at it again. You should certainly go to that committee.
well, at the time, I couldn't because we had two council people on the committee, and it would become
No, we're only seeing.
everybody just said, even the committee themselves just said Joanne was on the committee.
Yeah, but she wasn't a supervisor, or she wasn't a...
She was, in 2016? Come on. Of course she was.
Councilman Bogaris would like to speak.
All right, first thing I want to do is apologize to the residents of Wilton. I was not aware of any committee that reviewed all this. I hate to be found to be ignorant or lacking in education. I hate looking stupid. I just want to apologize. I've done a lot of research since the last committee meeting, or last town board meeting. I've gone to the town, I got the minutes to the zoning code revision minutes to all their meetings. The concerns I expressed last meeting have been discussed in these minutes. One of the quotes, one of the things I said was I didn't like how the commercial space was rented out to a one corporation, and it was identified, and this goes back all the way to 2017, beginning of 2017, and everybody who is on the list that's here, it was present for the meetings for most of the time. There was a couple people intermittently that were not here, but they did identify certain areas of concern as far as the hamlet zones. One of them very clearly stuck out in my mind, which was a concern of mine, was that the hamlet, commercial space in the hamlet, and it was quoted by one of the members, it says, this kind of use was not intended to be in the hamlet area, and it was not originally intended to have a corporation come through and rent the whole entire space. The initial design of the hamlet was to have individual businesses, small businesses, and whatnot, mom and pop stores, whatever you want to call it, to come in and do business. So it was identified in the meeting of May 16, 2017, that that hamlet zone rental was not what was intended to be. And furthermore, they did discuss that they need to really look at the hamlet development. That was the same meeting, because it is not really going in the direction that they had intended the hamlet to be. The hamlet was supposed to be a main street, pleasantly visualized, and in the way it was going, it was not going in the direction they wanted. Throughout these minutes, throughout the various meetings, they have expressed concerns of density. They do discuss density quite a few times in many of these meetings. Whether the board members who were on that board did not feel the need or courage to step up and make comments and input on that, that's the committee's fault. That's why we're here today. If you guys had the courage to step up in that meeting and voice your concerns about the density, we wouldn't be here today arguing amongst our residents, all right? So that board failed itself, and they spoke at the meeting tonight saying that they did not address the issue. Here we are, some disagreement within our town board, which divides our community, and that really bothers me. So I not only look ignorant here because I didn't know of this committee, I have educated myself since the last meeting. And I find in these minutes that you guys all sat in, and I believe there was only like 2 members on the committee that did not make these meetings that I've read, and it discussed the heights of the building. They've actually, in the new comprehensive plan, which is 136 pages long, 50 pages long. All this I've been reading through. It discusses moving the buildings back further from the road, giving it more.
You're 3 minutes up?
Obviously, somebody really wanted me not to talk.
Did you put yourself on the clock?
I put myself on the clock.
Bad news for somebody when you celebrate.
But I've been reading through this. Unfortunately, I just got some of this material yesterday. But the committee has been addressing our issues that we're all expressing today. Unfortunately, bad on the committee that they haven't done it timely to bring it back to us. I looked stupid last month because I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't know we had a committee. And I really, as I said, I hate looking stupid. So I spent a lot of time, probably more than my monthly allowance and my paycheck, studying this because I don't want to make a bad decision for the town. And I do see the committee. They addressed a lot of my concerns I really like. I still have these concerns, but the way it reads in the minutes, it's still in committee and still under proposal to bring to the board. And I did vote to have a public hearing on the moratorium because I was in agreement with Councilman McCachran. We kind of need to do something. Bad on whoever, they haven't communicated with us to let us know, or you know, that they are working on it. And so here we all are expressing our concerns when actually it's been addressed or being addressed, but we lack knowledge of it. And I went on the website, tried to pull minutes. I think there was like 1 meeting minutes on there. All right.
You're really being called out.
The minutes are possibly on there. Again, I have requested the minutes. I do have the minutes.
They
I've read
will
them.
be put on there.
Yep, no, and
Between now and the next
right,
meeting.
someplace along the line,
Is it already there?
we do have fault. We do have fault, and I will take blame for that. But I just want to say the committee is doing its work. Councilman McCachran is passionate about this. We've spoke on various issues on this, and I do have some concerns, but a lot of my concerns are in discussion in committee. It just, the committee hasn't gotten back or communicated with everybody. And so I really would like to see in the next 30 days that we make some real progress that we all here in this room can be happy about and move forward in a united way. And that's all I have to say.
That's all?
I'd just like to touch on one other thing, that this density thing that I was referring to is not going to steer from our comprehensive plan. It says you will get a bonus if you build in that hamlet. And the bonus would be from, my proposal would have been from 8 to 10. That's a 25% bonus. Right now, we're 8 in a PUD and 15 in the hamlet. I mean, that's a little more than 25%. So I think there is some room to maybe negotiate them numbers, and maybe you can negotiate with the builders that we'll give them an extra unit of, an extra bonus for density if they bring in retail space that gives something back to this town. You know, it needs to be looked at. I'm looking for 3 things. I'm looking for the density being worked out, the height of the buildings, and the retail space underneath. And if we can get that by next month, well, we didn't need last month's meeting to happen.
So, anybody else want to speak before I close the public hearing? Nancy?
I would like to say one more thing. Thank you for doing the job and going above and beyond. So now we know how we feel.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we don't know when and I just have to say
Last month I was in your seat over there.
So that is an issue that we consistently bring up, that we would like to be more informed, and also be invited to the table and have opportunities to have discussion, not one-way monologue. And there's a lot of people in this town who have a lot of experience in a lot of different ways, who are professionals in some of the ways that we need for planning, for traffic, for open space, for complete streets, for solar, green energy, you name it. We have a lot of people living there with a lot of experience and they're not being invited to the table. They don't even know these things are going on. And I listened to the minutes for the meeting of 2016 where it was said that at these committee meetings, the public can come to them. And I sat in a lot of comprehensive plan meetings, but we're not allowed to speak to them. We're not allowed to be part of that conversation. You have to be a fly on the wall. Because at one of them, I can't help myself, and I have to comment, and I have to do it, and I have to say it. So, and I was told, thank you, but you aren't allowed, you're just here to observe. So, those are not public meetings, they're open to the public, and they're fly on the wall. To watch what's going on. So, I again would like to say, a public forum, I attend them in other townships and other cities, where they actually invite people to come, and you have professionals speak, and there's open dialogue both ways. So I encourage that, I will run encouraging that, and so that we actually be going, and what was that all about?
Great. I thank you all for your input tonight. I thought there was somebody else in the room that. I just want to read the bottom line on this, when this committee was formed, because some of them questions were addressed that you just had. And according to the minutes, Mr. Johnson said most of these items are technical. If there were particular zoning changes, the public would be included. So maybe this committee needs to allow the public to be included if they are there. Yeah. Eric?
Yeah, let me just piggyback on what other people are saying. When John read out the list of people who were initially appointed, you see this all the time, it's the same people who are already either on a planning board or some other involvement employed by the town. And one of the ways that would improve this situation is, again, when these committees are formed, look to the residents who are not already involved to bring in a different point of view, a different way of looking at these things, other than the people who are already serving in some capacity. And I think that would help a lot toward broadening the discussion, looking at different points of view, as I said. So a lot of towns have these citizen advisory boards that are formed to address specific issues. And again, as Nancy said, there's lots of talent in this town that is not being utilized, and that's something that really should be taken a look at and corrected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Comprehensive plan meeting, and I know the one thing they have done, there's a portal on the website where people can type in questions and ask questions. And if we go back and have a comprehensive plan, all this stuff done, you can see where people ask questions online, what is this, what are you doing here, and the answers for them. And you go back and the comprehensive plan, see that.
Do we have this for the revision, the code revision? We do have that in place?
Not for the...
all right.
The comprehensive plan, that was all the...
Okay.
Supervisor, hey, I just an educational piece here for, there are different types of meetings. There's revision committee meetings, and those committee meetings are the working group doing their job to, come up with these changes, have the discussion, for everybody to listen in. Then there's also workshop meetings where then it's a little more involved and they hire, have somebody come in that's a specialist for a particular topic, and you talk about that. That's something like we did with the comprehensive plan. We actually had, discussion on the Palmertown Range, the importance of that. So there's different types of meetings, and then, you have your public hearing meetings. That's when the public can interact. As you can imagine, if every committee meeting was a free-for-all for everybody to come in and comment, you probably wouldn't get much accomplished. So, it's just for the core group to work and have a discussion and then, move on. So there's different types of meetings, and, I don't think we ever had a working, workshop for our committee meetings or anything. I don't think there was anything that was a significant change. I remember we talked about, the first probably year of the zoning revision committee was on the solar law that we adopted within that first year, so we went through that process, so that was taken into consideration.
So, it's been a good dialogue tonight. I thank everyone for their input. So I'll close the public hearing. Okay, we'll now call to order the regular monthly meeting, May 2nd, of the Wilton Town Board. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
Supervisor Johnson?
Here.
Councilman Stryker?
Here.
Councilman Bogardis?
Present.
Deputy Supervisor Lynch?
Here.
Councilman Catron?
Here.
Okay, we have, first, as usual, we have the public comment. I can't find my sheet. Liz signed
Right
up.
here.
Nancy Dwyer.
Yes, Flyer 12 New Kent, Wilton. I'm scrolling down to make sure it's on there, but I think we did have a very good discussion there. A lot got said. I wish there was a lot more opportunity for that. One other thing I do want to talk about, and I did catch Kirkland before the meeting, on our website for 2018 road improvements. We have not updated our road improvement list for 2019. I'm obviously out knocking a lot of doors these days, and people are asking me when Kings Mills roads are going to get paved. I had a couple people indicate to me that they're quite dangerous. We have some elderly people that live there, we have some people in wheelchairs, we have a lot of strollers, we have a lot of kids with trikes, that they're getting dangerous, and issues and we're concerned. And I know a couple years ago, there were some neighborhoods nearby us that were younger, let's call it, than Kings Mills is, and their roads got paved. We had some drainage, the water drains were caving in. Those got dug up, redone, repaved. I thought, oh great, now they'll come in and pave. I used to work for a paving company, and that was typically what happened. You did your groundwork, your underground work, and then you came in and paved over the top. But no, so I went to the site to see when we were slotted to be paved, and only 2018 is on it. So I will, as Kirkland said, I will contact Lori tomorrow to see what's on the 2019 schedule, but I would like to make sure that it is noted that Kings Mills is having some issues and people are concerned, and we'd like to see that get on either 2019 or at least 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Joanne Clevetar? Huh?
No.
Thank you. One thing I wanted to point out is in the Albany Times-Union newspaper, our supervisor was quoted as saying, "Whoever replaces him must remember to make all decisions open and transparent." So, saying that. Also, I'm wondering why there are agendas on our website that are still in draft form. I don't understand it. February, March and May. Tonight's meeting, still in draft form at 9 o'clock. I just don't understand it. Why it's not, why draft is not. And the other thing is number 7, in the appointment of new town justice, Matt Casio. I was just wondering when that does come up, whether you could explain how that was chosen and whether that went public, whether there was a, in the newspaper, other people could apply, whatever. And the last thing, on May 8th, just an announcement, the League of Women Voters will be having a forum, very open discussion, with all 7 of the city school board members present. So that will be at the high school at 7 o'clock on the 8th of May. Thank you.
Eric Rosenberg.
Eric Rosenberg, 16 Pearl Lane. I just wanted to bring up a couple of topics that I brought up in the past. I've been passing through Parkhurst Road again. This has been going on 5 years. This gentleman continues to run this auto repair operation. It's always different cars. You speak to people, the word is out that there's some phone number that circulates around, the guy's repairing cars. Even if he's not repairing cars for people for money, okay, he's still got a mess there. There's acetylene tanks being left out. They are working on cars out in the parking lot. If you look back at the original, at least the one from, I think, October, some of the requirements were to remove the flatbed truck, to remove some of the commercial equipment, to make the property safe. Okay, it's not being happened. The gentleman claims that all those cars are his, but there's nothing in the file to show that he's ever required to show titles or registration. If he's repairing cars, again, he's taking business away from legitimate auto shops that follow the law and that set up shop. And was that really 3 minutes?
No, I don't think so. Keep going, keep going. If the lights
You're on a
flicker,
short
you're out.
Yeah.
You have a short leash tonight.
Oh, so was that your phone again?
It was.
Oh, it was. 2 people had a very bad night. Okay. Anyway, we really need to get this property cleaned up. It's an eyesore and it's dangerous. But there's other things. So, for instance, there's code provisions for reasons. Some of them are safety, some of them are appearance. But for instance, we have a code provision that says you can't park your trailers and your trucks and your snowmobiles in the front of the house. Okay? Some people are required to move. Most people are not. Why is that? Why? I mean, I drive around Wilton all the time. I see lots of trucks and trailers in the front yard. Either we enforce the code the same for everybody, or we shouldn't enforce it against nobody. Same thing with storage sheds. And by the way, I did some FOIA requests on this. Storage shed. People are required to have a building permit for a storage shed. If 5% of the storage sheds in Wilton have gotten building permits, I would be shocked. That's what my FOIA request showed. Again, why do some people have to pay a permit, but some other people not? I will tell you, and this was said to me, and at various meetings, but basically if no one complains, the code doesn't get enforced. You know what? These people are not the code enforcement division of the town of Wilton. The code should be enforced or not enforced the same for everybody. And that's not happening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dave Bushin.
Dave Burchett, 201 Heritage Way. I want to thank the town board for passing the resolution in support of the school safety, in support of school safety in the community of Wilton. I also want to thank the Saratoga Springs City Council and Greenfield Town Board for passing similar resolution, all by unanimous vote. Some residents have come before this board and said that school safety is not this board's responsibility, and that, quote, these folks have nothing to do with whether or not school has passed. Well, after the Greenfield and Wilton passed their resolution, the following article was reported in the January 9th issue of the Times. right after the building. Saratoga Springs City School District will hire another school resource officer after suggestions from the New York School Insurance Reciprocal pressure from a parent group. SPSS. The new officer, superintendent of school, Michael Patton, will begin in early February. He's supplied by the Saratoga County Sheriff's Office and walk across the Maple Avenue, which is middle school, as well as cover Georgia Miller Elementary, also involved, and the Greenfield Elementary. He says we're excited to have an additional resource opportunity for our preschools outside the city. That's what we're talking about that to happen. For those that said this board had nothing to do with it, you got to remember that our supervisor is also a member of the county board. Okay? So remember, the people here vote on something. Art takes the message and goes down to the county board of supervisors, and the county sheriff reports in is funded by the county supervisor. So that's our resolution. Again, that's the paper report. Resolutions like this that allow us to get other safety
Thanks, Dave.
All right, item number 4, we have the minutes pending from our April meeting. Is a motion to adopt the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes from last month's meeting.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any requests for changes or modifications to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 5, Palmertown Ridge PUD amendment application. I think we had a resolution that council has prepared for us. Yeah, you want to offer this resolution? You would present it as a motion. Yeah.
I'd like to make a resolution in reference to the Palmertown Ridge Planned Unit Development. Oop, sorry.
So this was put on, why is this put on after 6 o'clock tonight? I pulled the agenda off of the computer at 6 o'clock tonight for 5 minutes. Tonight, and it said draft, and it does not have number 5 and 6 on it. If you please explain to me one, why that happened so late, and can anybody do that anyway?
I got it as well in the afternoon.
I don't get it. I did not know that it was going to be on here tonight. If you didn't know it was going to be on here tonight, because it wasn't on here at...
It was a last minute addition.
Okay, so what is it?
You want me to read it?
We talked about it last month here. This has to do with the application that was submitted.
Correct.
Go ahead, Mark.
I mean, I can take a crack at it. A couple of months ago, the owner of the Palmertown Ridge property submitted an application to the town board seeking amendment or rescinding of the PUDD zoning. The town board, this was mentioned at last month's meeting. In fact, at last month's meeting, if you recall, those of you who were here, and the town board recalls, the property owner, Wick Construction's attorney, was at the meeting and actually kind of jumped the gun and started addressing their requested application, even though their application was not on the agenda. They were told by the supervisor correctly that their application was not on the agenda. The proposed resolution this evening is merely closing the loop, if you will. If the town board adopts the proposed resolution, then it will be a formal indication that the town board does not intend to consider Wick Construction's application to further amend or rescind the PUDD zoning.
And then later on, you'll find that we're refunding their fee. Okay, so...
Point of information, part 3. But the open meetings law does require an agenda to be published on a timely basis to, among other things, If residents want to review the files that are coming before the town board, they have a legal right to do so. I would imagine, regardless of whether it's 5 o'clock or 5:30, that putting items on the agenda at the last minute like that do not comply with, and that's New York state law, not comply with the requirements of the open meetings law, and certainly would not give people their legal right to review the files in advance. So with all due respect, in order to comply with the law, and of course we want to comply with the law here at Wilton, these matters, however important they are, properly to be properly handled, should be tabled to the next meeting so that they are properly noticed and people have their legal opportunity to review the files regarding these matters.
I believe council had notified the attorney for WIT that it was going to be on the agenda.
That's true, and there is also no prohibition in the open meetings law or any other statute in the state of New York against adding something to the agenda if the town board wishes to, up to and include, you don't even have to have it. Ideally, obviously, if we know things are happening, we put them on the agenda, but you could now, right this minute, introduce something completely new that's not on any agenda, draft, final, or otherwise, if it's in the best interest of the town. In other words, there's no minimum time in advance requirement if business comes up.
Which is what I did last month.
But actually, that's very true.
But this didn't, so, I'm saying this did not.
No, what the-
No, the last month was the clarification. This, yeah.
We were refunding the money on the comptroller's report, but council wanted to clear everything up, and this was sent to me last night. This morning?
Yeah, I don't know which. You're in the ballpark.
We just want to, because after we made the action last night, your application kind of came, like, it was moved because we've already decided that the town wanted
At that
to.
point, it should have been on the agenda for this one, that's right.
Well, we had to pass that resolution first before to do this.
I just was not clear, I know exactly what's going on all the time, but I wasn't clear what this amendment was.
But just for anybody's benefit, there is no new amendment. When you say you're not clear on what the amendment is addressing, the town board had nothing to do with generating the request for amendment. The request for amendment came from the property owner, WIT Construction. It was filed several months ago. It's been available as a public document for several months. It was discussed last month's board meeting, even though it wasn't on the agenda for last month's board meeting, but it was discussed. But I just don't want anyone to get the impression that the town board is now proposing some new amendment. That's not the case at all.
Did someone offer the resolution?
I had started. Any other input before I go?
No, go ahead.
All right. Again, I'd like to make a resolution declining to consider the application relating to the changes to the Palmertown Ridge Plan Unit Development. Whereas the town of Wilton provides regulation for planned unit development districts, PUDDSs, in Article 21, thank you, I didn't know room, of the town zoning law, and whereas WIT Construction Incorporated, WIT, owns certain property known as Palmertown Ridge Plan Unit Development District, for which the zoning classification is PUDD number 1 of 2019, number 4 of 5, and 1 of 2008. Whereas WIT submitted an application to the town board for consideration of an amendment and/or recession of the PUDD zoning, and whereas Section 129-115B as in boy of the town zoning law provides that consideration of a PUDD application shall include referrals to the town planning board and a county planning board if applicable, if the town board, in its sole discretion, determines that the application meets the intent of the PUDD regulations and the town's comprehensive plan. And whereas the town board recently clarified and reaffirmed the PUDD legislation in this matter that it believes best protects the health, safety, and welfare of the town. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board chooses to exercise its legislative discretion and will neither review nor further consider the WIT amendment recession application, as the board finds that it does not meet the intent of the PUDD regulations and the comprehensive plan.
second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Based on what we discussed, is the town now at a point where it has not made a final decision, or does this amendment confirm the decision to take the property? I want to know where the town is on this issue.
You know, last month, we made it firm that we wanted the property. This was an application filed by WIT that we're not going to entertain.
Right, that would have defeated that purpose.
Basically, we're holding them to their
I
original.
wasn't clear if, because last week it was, again, a little confusing.
Last week or last month?
I'm sorry, last month, it was to clarify a certain issue, and it wasn't clear that part of clarifying that was the town deciding to take it off. So I just wanted to know where the town was on that.
Yes.
We're just basically holding them to their original.
Correct. Yeah,
We're just holding them
last
responsible
month-
to their original contract.
Right, the resolution that you all adopted last month, I think what we're talking about is the issue about dedication of land to the town.
Correct.
The resolution that the town board adopted last month clarified that the intent and now the letter of the PUDD legislation requires dedication of the land to the town. That has essentially nothing to do with tonight's resolution. Tonight's resolution is in relation to an amendment application that WIT had filed several months ago that would have completely defeated the purpose of what the town board did last month. This is closing the loop on that amendment application and saying that the town board will not consider WIT's amendment application.
Okay, next we have a speed limit reduction request for Loudon Road between Ruggles and Ingersoll. The process on this is forwarded to the county, and the county forwarded it to DOT. I think we've already had a request in for this particular, it may be pending already for this.
I make a motion, we do it. Keep the people happy. I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Ruggles to 45 to 35.
The state has to evaluate.
Yeah, we don't have that authority to change speed limit.
Only the state can actually do it.
It's just a referral.
No, that was to refer it to the county.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we got, Kirk went out to bid on a vacuum and jet action culvert cleaner. We got one bid, right, for...
Yes.
Is Kirk still here?
Yeah, he's sitting in the front row waiting. He moved closer so we'd see him.
You just should have signed up for public comment. No, anyway, so you're good with this bid on this, on the vac?
I think we need to take out the salary of one mechanic.
So anyway, take a motion to accept the bid for the vac and culvert cleaner. I think it's, what, 45,000?
That's right on the front page.
That's a good bid, that's a good price.
Good truck.
I make a motion.
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. We also went out to bid on a 2019 Chevrolet Silverado, four-wheel drive crew cab. And what was the bid on that? $35,871.
Jeez, the price going up. Did you get chrome wheels again?
How do we do that bid process anyways?
Well, there's a couple of different ways.
Send them your specs.
Maria, if you want to talk about it, you can do a mini bid. In this case, we didn't do that. We chose to just put it out to bid and...
How long is the bed on that truck? So it's a monster.
It is in my budget.
Yeah, yeah. No, I just curious, the 35,000, it was just...
Four-wheel drive.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid on the 2019 Chevy Silverado.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved. Next, appointment of town justice.
I make a motion to appoint Matthew Oracazio to the new town justice from 5/2/19 to 5/12/31/19 to replace the Honorable Judge Worth, who has retired.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Matt and his background. Matt is an attorney. He graduated from the University of New York at Buffalo Law School. He's currently working in the County Circus Court as a principal court attorney. Before that, he was assistant district attorney with the County District Attorney's Office, and he's had many years' experience actually working not only in Wilton Court, but many other town courts. And I think we're very lucky to get someone with that experience to replace Judge Worth.
He's highly qualified.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Can you explain to the process of how it's a temporary appointment and then we go to...
Well, it's to fill the end of this year, and then Matt will have to run in November, along with Judge Town, for election. Matt is here, and I'd like to introduce Matt. And Matt, if you'd like to say a few words, I think we're very grateful to have you apply.
Thank you, Supervisor. I appreciate it. May it please the board, Mr. Supervisor, Mr. Deputy Supervisor, members of the town board and the community, I'd like to formally introduce myself to you. My name is Matt Casio. It is with great privilege and honor that I do accept this appointment if the town will so approve it. I've had the opportunity to say recently that 13 years ago, the first court that I appeared in front of was the Wilton Town Court. The first judge that I appeared in front of was Judge Worth. And both the supervisor...
Did he fine you, Heavy? Did he fine you? Did he fine you?
He did not, no. I was as an attorney.
Can you change your last name to Worth so we can carry that tradition on?
As I know, there is a work that has always been on the town bench, the town of Wilton, and I am privileged that there will continue to be a work that will assist the court through my term and however long it is that it blesses us with being able to continue on, and Tracy as well as the members, the true professionals of the court staff. They are the ones who really get the work done, and we are the ones who simply have to stand up there and hope for the best. They've talked about replacing Judge Worth. There is no replacing Judge Worth. There's only the ability to continue to do the work that he has done. As I said, for 13 years, we talked about my experience. I came to Saratoga County to practice law with my uncles, John Casio, Pete Casio, and John McMahon, the law firm McMahon & Casio in Saratoga Springs. We're a small firm. We have criminal defense, trial litigation, family matters. We appeared in every court in Saratoga County, Wilton, just about every Tuesday. Judge Worth, Judge Wood, and then Judge Town has appeared. In 2012, I had the opportunity with then District Attorney Jim Murphy to join his staff. I joined his staff and became a member of the DWI Vehicular Crimes Unit, where I prosecuted DWI offenses, vehicular assaults, vehicular crimes. In 2016, I had the opportunity to join the court system as a defense attorney, as a criminal prosecutor, and now I work for the courts. So I have all aspects of experience, both from the defense, the prosecution, and the court side, that I think would serve the town and the community to the best of my abilities. I never wanted to see Judge Worth leave. Never wanted to see him have to retire. Never see him want to retire. He's earned it. 42 years on the bench, he's earned the right to step aside. When the opportunity presented itself to show my interest to the town board, to submit my resume for consideration to this, I was privileged to have that opportunity, to have them consider that opportunity, and vet me, interview me, speak to members of the town board, as well as members of the community that I've had the chance to speak with as well. I look forward to speaking with other members of the community. It's an open court. I'm happy to present my resume and my experience to anyone who would ask, who would like to see about my qualifications for this position for the town at some point going in the future, God willing. It is an open court. I certainly hope that none of you find yourself in the Wilton Town Court, but please know that anyone that will find themselves in that position will be treated fairly, with respect, with dignity, to the highest standards of the law and fundamental fairness, and to the best of my abilities and the best of what I would hope to be our community standards in the town of Wilton. So I hope that I've introduced myself properly, and I do hope to continue the good work that Judge Worth has, and certainly the trust that the town board and the members of the town community have shown in me for the time being. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have another appointment.
Did we vote? No, let's vote on it yet?
Oh,
No.
did we vote yet? No.
I did
We had a
not.
motion and a
Yeah.
second. No,
Yeah, we have to vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Matt, thank you, welcome. We have another great appointment coming up. The Park and Rec Commission. Most people know Mark Daly. Mark built the gym, the Christopher Daly Gym in Gavin Park. He's been a major contributor to the town and involved in recreation in the town to the greatest extent, and it'll be great. Would be a great addition to the Park and Rec Commission. I'm grateful that he's actually willing to serve in that commission.
It would be an honor to have him on our committee.
I make a motion to appoint Mark Daly to the Rec Commission 5/2/19 to 8/31/20.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Moving on to committee reports. Wayne, I know you have one.
Absolutely. All right, just to give my monthly update. Basically, right now, I just want to thank Scott, Jake, Ray, Marcus, John, and Mark from the town maintenance and town building departments for their dedicated work, and also in addition to the highway gentlemen, employees who have been working hard to keep our projects on schedule. Unfortunately, Mother Nature's not helping us much. Gavin Park, the pavilion, site work is progressing considering the weather. The crews have made great progress. Tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, we are still planning a pour. All right, we're planning a concrete pour. I'm not familiar about weather and stuff. We are planning a concrete pour. They have multiple bases where the steel comes down and supports. They're going to be pouring the concrete and finishing off those bases tomorrow. I'm not sure if Ryan knows this one yet. And I have approached Supervisor Johnson.
Surprise, you're pouring it.
I've approached Supervisor Johnson in reference to the pavilion. We are putting up a lovely structure, if I can use the word lovely. It's a large structure. So I am exploring, again, with some of the gentlemen on the committee, about looking into the cost of providing lighting for the structure. Currently, we're building an 80 by 120 structure, which is very large. And if we could put lighting in it, again, cost prohibitive, that we could possibly use it for after dark, park fest activities and whatnot. So we're exploring into adding some lighting to it. We would like to plumb it for water, so we'd have the capability of hooking a hose and cleaning the concrete and stuff. And I would like to look into some rough plumbing to possibly maybe down the future that we could add some bathrooms, wall in a small portion and put some seasonal bathrooms in there. Again, just putting the piping in, not actually hooking stuff up. So we're exploring these possibilities. Again, Steve, I'm sorry. I know you're the liaison. Oops, sorry, Sue. You're the liaison. I haven't discussed it with you as far as that, but these are some additions that have been talked about.
Yeah, I talked to Mark about all these things.
Okay, so we're looking to actually increase the usability of it down the line, and we're looking to build for the future, not so much for what's right now. Again, we're looking at costs if that prohibits, that helps us. As far as the court building, we had hoped to have bids in by this meeting. Unfortunately, we are running, or I am running a little late on that. So we are looking to bids out next week, I believe. Saturday, I believe. All right, we are putting bids out Saturday, and hopefully within 2 weeks, we'll have all the bids back, and we'll be back on the roadmap for that. That's the only committee reports I got as far as projects. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Saturday, we had to use drug pickup here. I want to thank Sue Baldwin for all the hard work she did on that. But I thought it wasn't going to work because it was cold, miserable, rained. But we did, we got like 3 nice big boxes of drugs that people brought in. It's probably something we should do in the future too. I don't think, I know it's got to be done next year, but I thought it went well. How's our other thing coming, Supervisor, with the debris pickup we talked about in January?
The what?
Debris. People, you know.
Oh, with the
recycling.
The townwide, yeah, I'm still waiting for a price from County Waste on that. They're the only ones that will do that. Hopefully by...
it's in the works.
It is definitely in the works, yes.
You mean like
It's budgeted to do that, and it's going to take over a couple of different weekends, but I'm just...
Well, I see in the paper last week, I think it was Clifton Park, they did like in 4 zones. They do 1 zone a week.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of what's the same plan, yeah.
Good.
Okay, I just have a couple of things. One, next Thursday is the fish stocking at Delagan Pond at 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. And also, the Elks Flag Day Parade is June 8th, and I need to know whether any of you will join me that day in marching in the parade.
I'm not sure what capacity.
So you just
Wait a minute.
You want to ride or you want to
Yeah,
walk?
wait a minute, I didn't realize I was marching. Hold on.
So you gotta let me know about that, because I gotta let them know how many people will be there.
You like the fight and drum?
What is this?
Wildlife Festival, June 2nd.
Oh, and the Wilton Wildlife Festival 2019 is Sunday, June 2nd, 11 to 3 o'clock at Camp Saratoga. It's always a great event as well. So,
What was the date on the?
June... On the Elks Parade, June 8th.
I'll give you a ride in the golf cart.
Maria, Controller's report?
Yep.
Oh, I forgot. Ryan's got he's got a pancake breakfast he wants to talk about.
Well, not me, myself. But I've been working with a Eagle Scout candidate. His name is Trevor Borden. And actually, this is a project that Larry Gordon started last year. And I've taken over working with this young man working for his Eagle Scout. And his project is to construct a new grooming storage building for the ATV and the grooming equipment over at Camp Saratoga. So he is having a fundraiser for this new building because it's part of his project. He has to do the fundraising. So they are at Applebee's on May 19th, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. They're going to have a fundraiser. Tickets are $6 at the door, and you can get short stacks for a tall cause. The flyers are out, I think, on your desk. You need a flyer there. So it's for a good cause, and this young gentleman is hoping to raise a lot of money so he can build this new structure for the equipment.
Thanks for handling that, Ryan.
Thanks for a stack.
Are you gonna do the pancakes?
No. I'm not going to cook.
You don't know.
I'm just making the announcement for the young gentleman.
Great.
Okay, Maria.
Okay, so we have budget amendments today. We're going to ask the board to use sales tax for the demolition of an unsafe building. It's our first item.
I believe the building was discussed at our last meeting. The second item is we're going to plan on using insurance coverage that we've already received to go toward the purchase of the trucks that were just approved by the board to accept bids on. So if the board would look at those two budget amendments and approve or ask questions if you have, and then we'll move on to the transfers.
Make a motion to accept the 2019 budget amendments for demolition and highway machinery.
Is there a second?
The demolition, is that the one just off Jones Road?
Yes. 57.
Okay.
And we will get that back from the county.
Right.
It'll make us whole.
Okay. I'll second. All right,
go ahead.
Absolutely.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
For the budget transfers, we have another legal fee that we're pulling out of the contingent account. The board has already approved that expenditure, so this is just a ratification. The second item is taking money again from the contingency account to cover the driver's ed training that we just had. It's an event that happens every few years, so it was not put into the budget for this year, but the expenditure is there, so we're pulling the money from the contingent account to cover that cost. The 3rd through 8th items are already approved by the board and just require ratification tonight. This is the road improvements that are being made, and we're using, of course, the permanent improvements parent line to cover the expenditures for the individual streets. So this requires board approval or ratification.
Yeah. I always have to do a budget transfer.
Do you want, Nancy got something? Or you
Can I
want
ask a quick question? On the road improvements, where it says outside vendor, what is that? Why are we hiring an outside vendor? What's exactly going on for those repairs?
So
Kirk's not doing the paving. Kirk, you want to explain that?
We're just using an outside vendor with specialized equipment to do the project down around, these roads are down around the mall.
Yeah.
We don't have that equipment and we're not going to purchase it.
They have like red light pressure plates in the pavement and stuff like that, so it requires a little bit more technology than we have.
Traffic control is also a big issue.
Exactly. Correct.
The big problem down there is just the traffic. We just don't have the people to do it, and you're right with the electronics, there's a lot of stuff in the pavement for traffic lights, whatever, plus it's a striping crew that comes in behind them to do all of the special effects on the pavement, whatever. So hopefully, and quote me, but I'm hoping in 3 days, 4 days max on it, it's done, completely done.
Is that good?
Okay. Make a motion to accept the budget transfers 1 through 8.
Second it.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
By the way, that's all done under county contract.
Okay.
Okay, so item 3, we have bid awards and other matters. So letter A, we've already discussed, and the board has already approved the acceptance of the bids for the 2 highway trucks. B, Kirk Woodcock is requesting to sell outdated hydraulic fittings on Auctions International. C, Scott Harrington is requesting that the 2011 F-350 be sold. We've already purchased a new vehicle, so this one would be sold. And D, Wood Construction should be refunded their previously paid application fee of $500.
Can we just do A and B, or should we do A and or B and C and D separate?
Should D be separate there, Mr. Attorney?
Doesn't matter.
We can group one.
See, A's already been approved, right? So
I make a motion, the bids award number 3, B, C, and D, approval.
A, B, C, D.
B, C, and D, we already approved
We have to
A.
transfer, that's a transfer of the money.
All right, A, B, C, D. Make a
I'll second
motion.
that.
okay, we have motion and second. Any other questions?
Why is it that we're returning the $500 application fee? Because of the...
We didn't accept the application.
Okay.
They had to, they had to put 500 with the application, so. Since we're not going to act on, we're not going to.
All right.
Did we vote?
We just need to vote.
So, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? So moved.
Okay. The fourth item concerns personnel. Jonathan Hoffman, who was a highway mechanic, has submitted his resignation effective April 19th, 2019, and the board should accept his resignation. B, Kirk Woodcock is requesting that Tom Hammond title be reclassified from auto mechanic to MEO. Tom's pay would not be impacted by the change, and this requires board approval as well. C, Kirk Woodcock is requesting that the town board approve the hire of Robert Bissell for the position of highway auto mechanic at the step 1 rate, which is $23.66 an hour. The request to hire at step 1 is related to his previous experience, and he would start approximately 2 weeks after the town board approves. Jake Baudet in item D, he's the highway MEO, and he also submitted his resignation effective April 23rd, and the board should accept his resignation. Item E, Tina Weber, who's the assessor, is requesting that the board approve the hire of Melissa Miller for the position of assessment clerk effective April 14th, 2019, at the base rate of $17.23 an hour.
May 14th.
May 14th, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And item F, it's requested that the town hire a seasonal employee at the base rate of $14.93 an hour, and the position would not include benefits.
Okay, any questions on the personnel request?
Just the last one. It says hire a seasonal employee for what department?
This would be under buildings.
Buildings, okay.
Yeah, that's to help, to fill in for Scott, cleaning and for mowing while they're doing the work down at the pavilion.
And on the court. And on the court.
And at the court building.
Oh, makes sense.
Make a motion, we approve the personnel A through F.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay, does the board have any other business you want to talk about? Okay, motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Oops.
At the bottom of your agenda, I'm sorry, what is the 2019-20 Subsequent Falls General Fund Positive Exemption Report?
It's the budget that will be voted on, and I have a copy of it.
The school budget for South Glens Falls. Sue has a copy if you want to.
We got a motion, that's it.
Okay, motion and a second?
I made the motion.
All in favor?
Who seconded it?
I'll second it, doesn't matter.
Now you can all in favor. Aye.
Yes, aye. Aye. Why did you?